Hi, good evening. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us for Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears Topics and Tidbits live stream here on a Tuesday evening. I'm Catherine Ritchie, and this is Jennifer McCormick. We're
Hello.
agents. We're agents with Mickey Travels and Let's Adventure Travel, who join together to share our experiences and knowledge with you. Thanks so much for being here. Before we jump into our news and topic of the week, we appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button and the bell icon so you get notified anytime we go live or all of the times that we continue to add videos. So thank you so much for subscribing and being here. If you're here watching us, if you are a regular or if you're new, we love seeing that in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. And then as we're chatting, if you have questions or suggestions or want to chime in, we love seeing that as well. For those not familiar, we also have a really active Facebook group, so you can find us there. Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears, a guide to all things Universal and Disney. It's a really interactive group, over 1,000 people in there commenting and providing advice and also sharing moments from trips too. So that's another great resource as well if you are in the midst of planning or thinking about planning a Disney or Universal destination vacation. So happy February.
Can you believe it?
No.
I can't. I mean, someone
No.
posted something about January was the longest year ever.
It was me. I posted that twice today, but January is usually so long, but it was long in some ways, and that, but really fast. I think. I'm like,
Same.
oh my word, it's February now, which I like February more than January, so that's fine.
Well, I mean, January is a transition month. And so you're trying to get past the holidays. And I know you had a tree adventure that you had posted about.
I did. I feel like this will, well, thank you for mentioning that. That seems fitting in my Facebook memories today. For anyone who's been watching us, I always get a real tree. If you haven't, I always get a real tree. There's always a story with it. But two of my Facebook memories from, I think, 7 or 8 years ago, and then maybe 5 years ago, I took my tree to the curb or got it out of my home on this day. So yes, February 1st. This tree this year lost every needle. I'm not exaggerating.
No, look like it.
Every needle. So I've never had assistance where we took the tree apart into 2 lawn bags. That's how we got it out. That's how crispy it was. I know everyone will say this is why I don't get a real tree, but I've never had a tree like this. So I will also admit part of my house is still decorated for Christmas. I know there's some of you out there.
No, I mean, we have a little bit on our front.
Okay.
Still,
well, okay. But like inside.
No inside. It's
okay. Oh yeah. No, still I have my Valentine's wreath on my front door. So no one knows.
We're almost past Valentine's Day on the way to St. Patrick's Day, but my girls are Irish dancers. And so like there's no, like we've been in St. Patrick's Day since before Christmas.
I will switch it. February 15th, we'll go right into St. Patrick's.
Funny.
Yeah, the holidays roll. So speaking of celebrations, that's our topic tonight. We're going to get to that and talk about ways that you can celebrate or reasons to celebrate for a Disney or Universal destination. But we do have a lot of news to chat about as well, because of course it's a Tuesday. But again, as we're chatting, if you have questions, feel free to throw those in the comments. We certainly appreciate you sharing this stream out with anyone you know who might be thinking about planning a trip as well. That is why we're here. All of our services are completely free. We love Disney and Universal and love sharing all of that with everyone we get to help as well. So we've both been very busy. I will say January is a time when a lot of people are thinking about traveling.
My goodness.
And that has been a refreshing change. Yeah. I'd say, especially from a year ago. I think we've been much busier.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, if you are watching, if you are interested in interacting, we would love to have you comment in the chat. It's so fun to interact, and I am, monitoring that. So please feel free. But yeah, I don't know about you, but I have had oodles of conversations about folks who are looking to travel really recently, a few in the future. Right. But I've had more than usual in January looking for February, March, maybe early April trips. And availability is limited. It's still there. There are things that we can definitely put together for folks, but tons of people are looking to travel late winter, early spring.
You're right. You're right. And I think, again, we're just seeing it from our own personal travels is that the airports are busy again. People are saying, okay, we are ready to travel. So a year ago, you could do a little more last minute in terms of maybe planning that trip, but you're thinking about it already February and even into fall. I mean, we both have people that are booking into, had someone today said, we're thinking about Thanksgiving. We hope it's not too late. So that's cool. So yes.
Oh, funny. Yeah. Just yesterday and today, I've got someone who booked late February because they were, looking for something right away. And then their spring break, which was first week in April. And then someone who said, when should I go in the fall? And I said, last week of October. There's no guarantee. Fall's always busy, but last week of October, tends to be the best option, but, between everything, between hurricane season, between, Halloween and Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend, and then the Christmas celebrations and Veterans Day and everything else. So all in one day. So
there's a lot. Yeah. I think that's a myth too, that I think fall used to be quieter overall.
Right.
And then that's just not the case.
Really 10 years ago when I went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party with my kids around our Minnesota break time, it was pretty quiet. And I don't think it has been since.
No,
I think it's incredibly busy time. It's great weather.
It is. It is. Though, and I was just talking about that. So first of all, we do want to say everyone who was in the path of the blizzard-like conditions last weekend, we hope you're all thawed out and safe, or if you're somewhere where I am, that we're expecting a storm, even in the south, so for the next few days as well. So a little crazy. Orlando was unseasonably cold this past weekend. I had clients there. She texted on Sunday morning, she said it's 45 degrees. That's a little unusual.
Which sounds like shorts weather to me, because I was running in 20 degree weather with my daughter.
So it all depends where you're coming from. 45 can still feel balmy.
It's really cold in Orlando at 45. Yeah.
45 is pretty chilly. So again, but we were both there this October, and it was 95 on October 1st. So it was the surface. It felt like the surface of the sun. So just a tip, you can look at the weather, but you just want to do layers that even if you think, 60 is going to be, again, would feel like 90 at home. It does cool off at night, no matter what time of, we talk about that. Bring that long sleeve shirt, bring that zip up. You will probably use it. It was sunny. They said Saturday they had a great time at Magic Kingdom. It just was cold. So
and with winter dates, it still gets darker earlier. So even if it's warmer during the day, it's a shorter day of sun. Right. But you just never know at this time of year. This was unseasonably cold. Through this time of year, we've been where, just a few years ago, for my husband's 40th birthday, it was in the 80s. And we weren't ready for that either. We thought it was going to be cooler. And all of a sudden it was hot. And I won't disclose exactly the year that was, because we don't want to age ourselves. Right. But it was really hot during his birthday. But we've gone in February and January a lot. And most of the time it's been really nice. We've had some really chilly days. You just never know what you're going to get.
You don't. So and again, that could be whether that's making sure you pack those ponchos or the raincoats, you just never know. So just something to keep in mind if you're heading, especially, Florida during the winter months. Most likely it'll be perfectly fine. Your kids will still go swimming because it will not faze them at all. And
especially the pools are heated. Yeah.
Pools are heated, so you can swim year round. That's a common question we get as well. And I think especially at Epcot, because it's always cooler there, the way the air is coming through and it's just more open. There's not as much blocking. So just keep that in mind. But you're at Disney or Universal or you could be colder elsewhere.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. So do you want to start with some Universal news?
Yeah. So we learned this week if you are paying attention to any of the news, Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, that Universal Studios has officially announced that their next park, they're opening a whole new gate, Epic Universe, and that's opening summer 2025. And so that's their fourth park. They've got Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, Volcano Bay, and a whole new park, Epic Universe. And so, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm really excited. And I know,
Yes.
Universal and Disney do things differently,
Mhm.
but Disney takes a heck of a long time. They announce things and then it could be 5 years later before that comes to fruition. And Universal Studios, I mean, honestly, they announced this shortly before the pandemic. They were planning, I think, originally it opening in 2023. And of course, everything was pushed back.
Mhm.
But they are hard and fast putting out a 2025 deadline to have a new park open, which is a big deal. It's a whole new park.
Right.
So-
Not just a new ride,
Right.
attraction.
Or not just
I mean,
a ride, not Tron.
Yeah.
Not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
The whole park.
Right. Yeah, really big news. I think especially for those who love Universal and are ready for some more things. So we're excited to see what that will be. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a preview in March as
I
well.
hope so.
Over there. I'm hoping get a
I
little
know. You never know.
something, but yeah, big news as well. So I mean, 2025 may sound far away, but in the theme park world, I mean, to have an entire park, in 3 years is pretty amazing.
Right.
And Universal tends to stay on. Early, I feel like usually.
Right. Same. I mean, they did with Velocicoaster. Yeah.
Yeah. So big news. So as we hear about that, we will definitely share that with you as well.
Right.
So, and then a ticket promotion as well. You see these more with Universal. I mean, we will say
absolutely.
that. So, again,
Right.
we talk about Disney and Universal. They are not apples to apples. I mean, they just aren't. We could do a whole show on that, the different ways. But right now, if you buy 3-day tickets, you can get 2 free days. So that's pretty crazy. Like, again, you don't get that offer at Disney. So if you're thinking about that, so the ticket only purchase, you have until May 5th to book this, and then but the travel dates are through December 15th. So again, you see more flexibility with Universal in these kind of offers as well. Which is
Right. Well, and I have to say that I've been pricing tickets for lots of folks. A lot of people go to Disney for several days and they want to do 1 day or 2 days at Universal. And then I point out, if you do a 3-day ticket, you can get 2 days free. And, especially with Universal, Disney's a little bit different. They charge incrementally more until you get to your 4-day ticket because there are 4 parks. With Universal, you spend maybe 2/3 of your cost on the first day, especially on a 2-park ticket where you get to go to Universal and Islands of Adventure. And then maybe almost 1/3 more on your second day. Your third day is negligible, and then you get the 2 days free. And so, I mean, with both of the parks, their goal is to keep you around as long as possible because they know if you spend more time in the parks, you're likely to spend more money on resorts, on food, on merchandise, all of that good stuff. But the truth is, if you're planning for a trip, you're not sure exactly what you want to do with your time, you think you might want to run to the beach or whatever, it really pays to pay attention to the pricing of doing a whole Universal trip or a whole Disney trip or a whole non-park trip, just because of the fact that 1 day of tickets, especially at Universal, is almost in a lot of cases very similar to a 3-day ticket, or in this case, a 5-day ticket. And so you could spend 2/3 of what you would spend for 5 days in 1 day. And of course, they're all date-based. And so you don't know until you look at the exact dates. But the truth is, you could get almost an entire trip out of what, you would spend on 1 or 2 park days normally.
Right. And you might say, oh, I just don't think I would do 5 days. at Universal. Well, you don't have to go the full days the whole time.
Right.
And one of the,
Right.
I mean, one of the best things about having a longer ticket too, you may say, okay, these are the things we loved. We want to go back in and do them, or we just want to be able to walk around a little bit. It just gives you more flexibility. But I mean, one day free is great, but to have 2 days free is pretty amazing. So,
well, and especially if you end up with a 3-park ticket. So you've got Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Volcano Bay, the water park. A lot of folks, again, I'm in the upper Midwest and they think I'm going in April. There's no way it's going to be warm enough. It's going to be warm enough. You're going to want, especially if you're coming from 30-degree weather,
right?
70s is going to feel sweltering.
Yeah, it's true.
And it'll likely be in the 80s, maybe even the 90s. And so chances of you really wanting to spend some time at a water park are actually great, even if you're not a huge, water park attraction ride. So even if you want a lazy river, even if you want, a wave pool, or just to sit on the sand with a cocktail is glorious.
Yes.
So something to keep in mind, especially for the minimal additional cost, and especially for 5 days.
Absolutely. So as everything we're talking about tonight, if you have questions, you can always reach out to us through our Facebook page. You can comment here, wwmeadventures@gmail.com. We'd be happy to chat with you and answer questions. We know both Universal and Disney can be a lot. That's how a lot of people find us, is that they say, we don't know where to start, but that's why we're here to help you do that. So,
yeah, and I do that our help is free. And a lot of folks realize that. I have a lot of, extended friends and family who are like, we didn't want to bother you. You're not bothering me. My help is free. Whether you book directly or, through me, you pay the exact same price. The difference is that the organizations, they automatically build in a commission for a travel planner. And whether you use a travel planner or not, you're paying the same exact price. If you use a travel planner, you get some additional service. And this is not just Disney and Universal. We should mention this, a lot of different organizations. This is how travel agents earn their keep. They earn, they make their money. There are some organizations certainly that will charge a fee. We don't charge a fee. And so just to keep in mind, you're paying the same. You're not bothering anyone. It's worth reaching out. It's worth having the conversation. If it's a great fit, great. There are plenty of folks who ask, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, I'm not sure what I want. And I spend a significant amount of time with them just trying to determine what's the best fit for them, what's available. I love doing that. I love to find what's available, what's interesting, what really fits. There are some parts that are commissionable, there are some that aren't. But the point is to have some assistance with an expert.
And we know that when I had a call this morning with someone who said, all right, tell me how I can do this night. We always say it's free and this is how it works. And he's like, it's free? I'm like,
right.
Yeah, it is. And we know there's catches to everything. There's none of that. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's the way they want you to have a good experience. And so having people who are experienced to help you do that is why that exists. So we're here, again, questions, and we helping our clients all the time. So we're both pretty busy, which is fun. That's why we do it. This is why we started this channel. It's why we have that Facebook group. It's not solely just for business. It's really to have that community supporting and telling stories and just enjoying what we do.
Right. And we have so much fun. We wouldn't do this and we wouldn't travel to these places if we didn't already have a blast personally. And then to realize that, and I didn't know this a decade ago, that I could get help for free and I didn't have to try to, figure out what was the truth and try to suss out, are you just disgruntled with life or just different chat rooms or Facebook pages, or is this something I should be concerned about? And so that's, why I like to be here for folks to say, this is something to keep in mind, or I wouldn't really worry about this comment. It is 1 in a million. I've been there. Almost a million times, maybe not a million, but several dozen. I can tell you what my personal experiences are. Catherine and I can say what we've seen and what, really literally hundreds of other agents have experienced as well, and let you know what your odds are of maybe having a difficult circumstance or having an amazing circumstance in a difficult applications.
Well, and that's again an additional resources that because we're part of these two amazing sister agencies as well, we have these great resources for always learning. Why we take these agent trips is that we're all trying to help our clients as well. So we have some great resources too in that aspect as well. So
Right.
all wins, everything in the pro category.
Right.
Sure. We like to say that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So some more news, Disney World, of course. So some exciting news there. So the Festival of Fantasy Parade is returning on March 9th. A parade back at Disney World.
Parade. Yeah.
Go parade. So we're clearly parade people. I think most people are, but that again, another huge symbol of something that everyone remembers about Disney. And I know even we probably still have people that are saying, I will go back when the parade returns.
Absolutely.
Because the parades, that was one thing that when the parks closed and then reopened, parades were not back. So the cavalcades are something that did not exist previously in their true iteration. So that was something that came back to fill that gap. But the fact that a parade is coming back as part of just a regular park day is really exciting. And it'll be, I'm sure the first one will be so exciting as well that it's happening again.
Well, and I cannot tell a lie. I was really suspect of the cavalcades. I didn't know what I would think.
Yeah.
And I loved them because they were unscheduled and you could just walk and you were surprised by them popping by, and you knew they were coming because in true Disney fashion, the music starts before the actual parade float comes by. And so you hear the music and your ears perk up and you think, oh, what's going on? And it's a cavalcade. And so that was really exciting too. But at the same time, it's nice to plan. It's nice to plan around not being on a ride or not eating or not shopping, and just knowing that there's something coming and that you'll be able to see the full extent of that experience.
Well, and I think that's the thing too. I think the cavalcades were great, but they were fast. So again, you had to be kind of at the ready, where a parade, you're seeing so much more. So you get that great spot, and you're, especially when we both had little ones, to be able to see them just watching the entire parade go by, because they were so small. And looking down, it's just, there's something really magical about that too. It also is great because either if you're not a parade person, or maybe you saw the parade on one day, it's a great time to go get on those rides when everyone else is watching the parade too. So that's another way to kind of move crowds throughout the park as well.
Good point. Good point.
A little tidbit for you. Yeah.
Right. Well, another piece of news we learned this week is we already have been packaging Mears Connect, which is a motor coach service completely separate from the Disney World packages that provides transportation to the Disney World resorts. And we learned this week that Disney World, the actual packages, are now cooperating with Mears private ground transportation, which is different. It's not a motor coach service. It is an individual and private service. And there are a series of different options that are available depending on your party size that you can add to your room and ticket package. And so, it's really nice to have that opportunity. It starts with a sedan, which can include up to 3 guests and 3 medium-sized pieces of luggage, is what they say. Up to a group of 11 or 12 for that service. And so if you are looking for private service and you'd like that package with your Disney World room and ticket package, it's a great opportunity, something different. Gratuity is not included. But it looks like a nice option. So it's not excessively expensive. The pricing seems really in line for private transportation to me.
I thought so too. I thought it was very fair as well. And again, if you're someone who, and that's like, I think both of us too, that it's all just wrapped into that vacation and you just know, and it's just, again, one thing, that's such an advantage as well. And Mears name, they are known for their transportation. We've talked about it. There's a lot of transportation options now because Magical Express is no longer included as part of a Walt Disney World vacation. So now there are pay options. There's a lot of them, again, ranging from the true private transportation to the charter bus services down to an Uber or Lyft or taxi. But yeah, the fact that this is now available that you can add it on, I think is great because there are a lot of people who like that for various reasons, especially if you're coming with a big group as well. Typically we're scheduling those private transportation. So the fact that it can just be part of that package and taken care of is wonderful as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I really vary. I mean, it depends on the client, what they're looking for. One thing I do love about Mirrors Connect, the shared motor coach service, is that it's 24/7. And in this world of, I mean, more common flight delays and things changing, it's really nice to have honestly a fairly inexpensive shared motor coach where if your flight is late, if it's delayed, if they put you on a new flight, if you're within 48 hours of your original arrival time, they're going to get you there. And that seems excessive. And I hope it's excessive for most folks, but they're ready and prepared to meet you, to get you where you're going.
Right.
And so I really find comfort in that, because the truth is I've been in that circumstance before, and Facebook has been reminding me, because we are going to our 8th Princess Half Marathon weekend. My daughter and I are, and the very first one, our flights were canceled the night before because of weather. And luckily we knew the night before, but I totally lost it. I'd been training for a half marathon for almost a year. I couldn't think. I paid, I don't even know, maybe 5 times as much for flights on another airline that did get me there. But I needed to get there. I'd been training.
Yeah.
I was 30 something and I'd never run in my entire life. And I needed my transportation to take care of me.
Right.
And so, I mean, the flights, whatever, but that I knew that the motor coach would get me there. And so I think that's the nice thing about Mirrors Connect is they will, if you get to Orlando International Airport, you're getting to your resort. No question, no delays, no, major issues. And so that, to me personally, is a real comfort because of the fact that I've been there. I've gotten in at midnight when I wasn't anticipating getting in at midnight, and I got to my resort and the rest of my trip was awesome. So.
Right. Well, and I do think, especially if you're traveling with children and, you're just hauling so much stuff. And again, if you've been here for a while, I am not a light traveler. So if you can only imagine when I was traveling with 3 children under 5 with a double stroller and a regular stroller and enough clothes to move to Florida. I mean, the fact that you could it's all set. You don't have to worry about trying to find something. It's all taken care of. So again, it's another, we say a lot, you get what you pay for, but it's also that reassurance that you're just landing, or you don't have to think, oh gosh, my flight's been delayed. I have to now track it down. Or I need to figure out, am I still good? It's just one less thing. And we tell stories about how we have those. We've traveled a lot between the both of us. So we have lots of great times that nothing happens. And then there's the times when stuff does happen, and most of our clients have no issues whatsoever. But as we know right now, there's delays, or I got stuck, a maintenance delay. Can't control that. So that was a 2-hour delay, which means we missed our connection, and then that was it. But we're here to help you with that too, of course, but there are I'm excited that that's an option. There's more options available. We're seeing, especially because they started more recently, they're getting more, more people are using them, which is great.
Right.
Again, we're not going to share somewhere that we would want you to use if we're not really sure of it as well too. So know that never sways us. Either.
Absolutely. And the truth is, I mean, when it comes to these different transportation options, I have several that I look at and think, these look most comfortable to me for various reasons, but I am excited that there's competition, because if there's competition in the market, that it means that everyone is elevated. Everyone is performing at a higher level. And so, I will make decisions and, point my clients towards certain businesses, because those are the businesses that I feel like, from my experience, are the most elevated at this point in time. And that may change from year to year, but I am still excited to see the business. I'm paying attention to what's happening with other companies, because I want to know what they're doing and how they might be elevating the companies I'm working with. Or do I need to shift? Do I need to recommend other companies because they're really bringing it?
Absolutely. And again, another great thing about us being in such a great agency, there's always someone visiting. So we get updates all the time if it's not us there.
Real time, yeah. Right.
Real time updates. We love that too.
Right.
So this is one piece of news I'm so excited about. So we're hearing rumblings that water is back in the Fantasmic Lagoon.
I'm so excited.
This is one of my favorites. And I came late to the party on Fantasmic. I will admit that. But it is one of my favorite nighttime shows. I mean, if you said which one is it's hard to pick, right? Again,
right, absolutely.
But I love it. Love it. And so hopefully that's a good sign that things are happening. So
well, they announced that it was coming back soon, at
Right.
some time in 2022. They didn't say summer. They didn't give it a window. They just said it's coming in 2022.
Right.
And they had done it seems like a full refurbishment of the entire attraction, of some of the story. And so it seems to me that the fact that they've redone the track, they've redone, the boats, because there are boats involved in part of the story, that, gosh, it's got to be coming soon, doesn't it? And even when Fantasmic was down, they did a rainy day experience that was really pleasant. And it was still a story, and it was still safe for the cast members. And it was so much fun for the audience. And I didn't feel like I missed anything. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And again, we're going in definitely fewer than 30 days for Princess F Marathon weekend at the end of February. And I really hope that Fantasmic is part of that experience. It's been a while.
That would be amazing. So in addition to us loving it, it just means that's another nighttime show that would be back. So right now, Hollywood Studios doesn't have that. So again, a wonderful option to be visiting in the park, but also another option for those who like to see a fireworks show and a music show and it's just so good. So if you haven't done it, put it on your list, and hopefully it'll be back soon. And if you're visiting in 2022, you'll get to see it. So stay tuned on that.
I hope so. Yeah. And then another, quick Disney World news, as you know, GD Plus, which is the new generation of what Fast Passes were. So the Lightning Lanes are now including, again, meet and greets, character meet and greets. And so at Magic Kingdom, you have the opportunity to add Cinderella and other princesses to your Genie Plus offerings, to your Lightning Lane offerings. Tiana is an option as well at Magic Kingdom. And then Mickey, of course. Mickey's been back for a while in Town Square Theater at Magic Kingdom, but hasn't been a Lightning Lane offer and was previously a Fast Pass option. So Mickey's back. And then Olaf and Hollywood Studios is back as a Genie Plus offering. So lots of fun things are happening.
Yeah, which is great. So again, if you know that is a favorite character, the fact that you can go ahead and get that on the schedule is wonderful too. So that's something that again went away, and it's nice to see that too, especially if you are visiting with little princesses and you want to make sure you see them. That's a great way to do that.
If you're visiting with little princesses, just know that your time is fleeting. And they only have a few years. And I've been looking through, because I used to have little princesses and now I have queens, just teens. I guess I'll just call them teens. They are their own people. But we ended the princess phase maybe at the age of 9 or 10. And I really thought I would go a little bit further than that. And they're amazing people that I love to spend time with and love to have spend time with at Disney, but they're not the same people that they were. 3, 4, 5 years ago. So it's really worth taking advantage of those opportunities away.
It's so true. I had 5 clients there, 5 friends who all had daughters. Average age was 5 or 6. And so the 5 moms went and took all the girls for their first, had the matching shirts and had their good experience. So that they were there this weekend. So again, not the best. They still swam. But we'll talk, that kind of goes into what we're going to talk about in a little bit about celebrations, but think of those memories. And the one, we went to college together and that's how we connected. She's like, I just wasn't sure how it would be. And it was just magical from the beginning to the end, seeing all these girls, meeting the princesses and just, seeing the castle. So it's true. And Sometimes older people like the princesses too. You don't have to be a little one to do it, but again,
Right.
those memories of those pictures and those moments, you'll have those forever.
Very true. Well, we've got another quick, a couple of quick pieces of information, then we'll get into our topic. But first is that downtown Disney in Disneyland is undergoing a fairly significant refurbishment. They're just starting it right now, a multi-year reconstruction project. This has been something that was in the cards again before the whole COVID shutdown, and then everything was tabled. But significant reimagining, and as far as I understand, they're looking at more of like an Art Deco sort of theme, like on the Grand Californian. So kind of more of a seamless personality throughout downtown Disney. It's really tough for me to say downtown Disney because, of course, I'm more familiar with Disney World, and they quite a while ago changed their downtown Disney to Disney Springs, completely reimagining what the feel of that whole space was and what the shops were. And as far as I understand, Disneyland is still considering the name to be downtown Disney for the duration, but they're really looking at building a new theme for it and some new opportunities. And so some of our favorite locations, like, why am I forgetting? Food, Earl of Sandwich. The current Earl of Sandwich location is supposed to be closing, but they'll have a temporary location before they have a new permanent location, things like that. And so again, a fairly major construction project, but something that will really bring new life into the whole area. And of course, the Disneyland Resort Hotel is building a new tower as well. And so that whole area should have a seamless feel now going forward. Years.
I loved it all. It has such a different feel from, Disney Springs, for those who've been there. The fact that you're walking right out of the resorts and everything's right. I mean, it really does feel like it's right there. So I'll be excited to see how it transforms.
I know. And I don't know about you, but I've been talking to a ton more people who are considering a Disneyland California visit over a Disney World Florida visit. And part of it is because I think folks are realizing that Disneyland is a smaller footprint. And so Disney World, it's large. I mean, it's about the size of San Francisco. There are 4 parks, 2 water parks, major shopping location, Disney Springs. And so it can be quite a bit to navigate. And even folks who are really familiar with Disney World, some folks I'm working with have little kids and they want something that's a little bit smaller, more manageable. Disneyland is amazing, but it's a much smaller footprint. You've got 2 parks. You've got 3 resorts that are on property. You've got a whole bunch of good neighbor hotels that are within easy walking distance. Some of them even have free breakfast. You don't get as much from those hotels. I mean, they're more of a room and then you go to the parks, but that's really possible, at Disneyland. If you're looking to, head to the parks, you've got little kids who are going to be asleep, at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So really something to consider. Lots of major airports, other things to do. So it's worth a look.
Absolutely.
And they have adventure campus. They've got adventure campus.
Yeah. We have not mentioned that in a while, Jennifer. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're a huge adventure family, but even the Guardians overlay of the old Tower of Terror, I will say forever, I think that it's a better ride than the Tower of Terror. And I love the Tower of Terror. I love it. I love it at Disney World. I love it at Disneyland Paris. I love Guardians of the Galaxy about 100 times more at Disney's California Adventure Park. So it's worth a visit.
Not everything's
Just
not
for
the
that attraction.
Well, that's the thing too. Yeah. And if you've been to Disney World or you've been to Disneyland, vice versa, everything is not the same. You're not just seeing the same footprint in both. You're seeing some rides, but the rides are different. Not every, the castle's different. So there's definitely enough where you wouldn't feel like, oh, we're just in Disney World in California.
Yeah, no, the restaurants are different. The lands are different. There are a few attractions that are similar. Absolutely. I mean, there's a Toy Story Mania in Disney World and in Hollywood Studios. There's a Space Mountain. They're totally different between Disney World and Disneyland.
Small World.
Yeah, Small World is different. It feels totally different. I mean, so they are similar, You're not going to feel like you're in a different world, but they're different enough to make it a whole wonderful new experience.
Did they have that 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Did they have that at Disneyland Paris?
No.
Did you ever go on
it was a walkthrough experience in Disneyland Paris. And so it was similar, but it was it's not a ride. It's a walkthrough.
Did you go on it at Disneyland?
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. I was so claustrophobic. I was like, I know it's not going to last. Oh gosh. Yeah. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I did, obviously. It was, I mean, it's really cool, but I know.
I'd like to Disneyland Paris. I mean, I like that it was a walkthrough, so you could spend as much or as little time in it as you wanted to. But I will say this till the ends of the earth. Disneyland Paris has the best Space Mountain. Don't even argue with me. Go on it.
Yeah, you have some. Oh,
it is the best. Like 2023, we have to get back to Disneyland Paris. I know we're not this year, and we were supposed to be 2020, and the pandemic totally shut us out. But they've got some great experiences and some great. I mean, their Indiana Jones ride is wonderful. They were the original Ratatouille, which the original Toy Story Land. Their Tower of Terror is a wonderful ride. And I mean, and they're building a whole lot more. So I'm hoping 2023 will be our year, maybe at the tail end of their 30th anniversary, which they're starting in just about a month. So Disneyland Paris will be around for 30 years.
Right. So if you're heading to Europe or you're thinking this is a great way, we can help you with that too. So just know that. When we say Disney destinations, it's all of them. And then some news, Disney Cruise Line as well. So cruising continues, which is exciting. So just a couple of updates here as well. So before March 11th, if you book a new reservation, you only have to pay half of the required deposit. So that you still are paying the full deposit, but you can split it up if you choose to do that. This is only valid for new reservations as well for select cruises departing between June 18th and May 31st,
2023.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's a lot. So June 18th, 2022 and May 31st, 2023. So that is a huge window to think about. So that does not require final payment at time of booking, remaining balance is due. So it just gives you some more flexibility. Again, as we've talked about, that deposit for Disney Cruise is higher than just a typical Disney World or another stay. This does exclude Disney Wish sailings through September 30th, 2022.
Right. But I mean, the thing to keep in mind with all of these deposits is if you're booking further out, they're refundable. And I know a lot of people I talk with, they're like, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not sure. And my personal thought is, I'm going to place a deposit. If there's a trip I think I want to take, I want to secure that room or that cruise or whatever. And if you have to cancel, that's fine. It's fine. I mean, life happens, but gosh, I don't want anyone to miss out on something that's really meaningful or important to them or a great deal because they didn't want to waste my time with that booking. So especially with cruises, gosh, 2023 is a long way out. But I can tell you that some of the pricing that you see right now is likely to be the best possible pricing you're going to see between now and then. So it doesn't hurt to place a deposit. And then, if a discount comes out, great. You can cancel and rebook, or we can have those prices readjusted. It depends on the parameters of what that discount is. But gosh, it doesn't hurt to deposit now if you've got the money there and available. And lots of people ask. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've got out there who are looking for 2024. And my only thought is, well, buy some Disney gift cards and then the money is set aside. But I mean, 2023, at least for cruises for the first half of the year, we can book them. Change your mind, fine. Get a refund, no problem.
Right. Remove those dates either way. Yeah. And speaking of Disney gift cards, you can use those for payment for all your trips. So if you're someone who that's a great grandparent gift. It is if you shop somewhere where your grocery store or gas station or as far as like a Sam's Club, a Target, all of those are discounts. You can double dip and do things like that. So gift cards are a great thing that I know a lot of people, they'll just buy them gradually and then apply them to their trip. So, but please note that if you do have a cancellation, that goes back to the original form of payment. So honestly, had never been an issue until the pandemic when we had to kind of make some changes, but they're Disney gift cards. You'll use them at some point for sure, but that's just something to keep in mind.
And you can always barter them with friends or family.
Absolutely.
Here's a bottle of wine. Will you, give me $1,000 for $1,000 Disney gift card? Folks are like, yeah, I'm going to Disney and I'll take $1,000.
I'll take it for you. I was going to get it anyway. And help.
Right.
Yep. See, we have suggestions for everything.
Many groups. So, I mean, it happens.
It does. It does. Right. Yeah. So speaking of sailings, you can save up to 30% on select sailings through mid-April. So again, kind of unprecedented, I would say, in terms of these kind of pricing and these kind of options even available right now, so close to sailing. So if you're feeling comfortable and ready to get on a cruise ship, I would in a minute. I know. And then just, I know, I could live on a cruise ship, honestly. I think maybe not. Well, it depends which room. You can, yeah.
With internet, I could work.
With internet, I could. Yeah. In my next life. But this is kind of, again, we'll keep updating you as we know because of testing and things like that. But if guests have tested positive within 11 to 90 days of their sail date, you may qualify to be considered as 90-day recovered. With the appropriate documentation and approval, guests considered recovered are not required to participate in COVID-19 testing before pre-sale embarkment, disembarkment. Lots of information about that. That may even have sounded like a foreign language to you if you're not in the process of going on a cruise. We can tell you Disney Cruise Line has just been really strict from the beginning and testing every single guest before they get on, taking care of all of that. So there's a lot of information. And if we're helping you book a cruise, we're going to make sure you're staying on top of that as well. But there's a lot of information if you're thinking, what does it all mean? Or am I ready to do all of that? You can see that all out on Disney Cruise Line page as well as what's required and what you need to have completed in order to be thinking about a cruise as well.
Right. And I would say if you are thinking about traveling anywhere, this seems to be more and more common. So, I mean, if you do unfortunately test positive for COVID and you are just doing a home test, go get a free community test, a NAT test, a PCR test, something in one of those areas and get that documentation because you never know. Right. If you are looking at an all-inclusive, if you are looking at a flight somewhere, if you're looking at a cruise, 90 days is a long time. But if you test positive, then you can use that official documentation. So not necessarily a home test, but the official documentation. And that's good. That's good to say you don't have to retest. We know you're fine. Come on in, have a great vacation.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's worth going to a free community site and, getting that extra test to make sure that you have the documentation from that.
And I think you're right. I think we're going to see that happening more. Disney tends to be a little ahead of the game sometimes on things. So
So again, I expect that to be the case for other countries, for maybe sandals or beaches or Charisma or Mexico or the Virgin Islands.
The islands.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or Europe. So it's worth it.
Yeah. Yep. So keep in mind. All right. Well, we always have more news than we think we do.
Oh, and we've got a couple of notes in the chat.
Oh, good.
Stephanie Chamberlain said, we know about paying with gift cards and getting the money refunded to them. So it happens.
It happens.
But then you can always use that forward. And someone said, Ben Bodie said that must be some good wine for $1,000. But I'll tell you what, a discount's a discount. So,
right. You still,
I've bartered. Personally, I've bartered because we always travel to Disney. So, I mean, hey, if someone's got a Disney gift card and, I can get something from it in addition to that exact value, I'm totally game. So,
and I'll be honest, I really never had, I never had to have anyone do it until 2020. I never had that issue.
And I bought them from folks. I mean, if they've had a mini discount or some incentive, I'm like, sure. I will totally take that from you. I'm always traveling. I'm going to spend the money anyhow.
Right. Exactly.
Happy to help you out. Happy to get the extra little fun, whatever.
Well, one thing we love about what we get to do is that we get to plan and advise a lot of celebrations. And so I think when most people think about celebration, they think it has to be something big. It must be a proposal or a honeymoon or just a birthday.
Right.
I think what we've learned since the pandemic, everything can be a celebration.
Everything's a celebration.
You made it out of the house with your children. That can be a celebration.
I was talking to Disney Cruise Line yesterday.
Mhm.
They said, "Are you celebrating anything?" And I said, "Spring break, hanging out with my kids." I said,
Yeah.
"We've been trying to go on this cruise for 3 years with the family. It's a return to cruising." She's like, "I'm putting that in. You're celebrating a return to cruising."
Yeah, that was mine in
We
October.
are.
Oh,
We
it's
are.
true. I think in
Yeah.
October when we were staying and they asked, and I always say my birthday was coming up. And I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be my birthday. I said, I made it through homeschooling 2 of my 3 children all last year. She's, yeah, we need one for that.
Right.
Yeah, my birthday. You can put it all in. But we wanted to talk about is it can be anything. So I think when you think of tradition, it could be a birthday. And again, I think if you've either not been to Disney or Universal or you have been going or watching pages, I mean, I'd say even 10 years ago, you didn't see family reunions showing up in coordinated shirts. You didn't really see all, and of course, social media has blown this all up as well. But bachelorette parties, honeymoons, military deployments or returns. We see that a lot where they want to go and celebrate as well. But you name it and it can be a celebration. You just want to surprise your special someone with a trip, or you've not taken your kids before, and this is your first trip. So it can be those. And then what we've talked about too is celebration of life or celebration of moments. We see that a lot. We're in a lot of different Facebook groups, of course, but it could be a family who their last memory or one of their family vacation memories was with that loved one who's no longer there. So going back and creating some new memories as a family is something really common as well. And I think, Jennifer, you said it before we were chatting too, Disney doesn't say, are you celebrating? They say, what are you celebrating? What are you celebrating? So.
Hi, Lucky.
Is
Sorry.
that your cat?
My geriatric 21-year-old cat is hanging out. And so sometimes he yells just to make sure he's being heard. and maybe for wayfinding because he's not exactly.
Yes. So yeah.
Sometimes
you sometimes our cats do sometimes make some cameos.
We celebrate his birthday every day.
Yeah.
He's 21 and we're just wondering.
21 is amazing.
Every day I look at him when he's sleeping and I think, is he breathing? Okay. But I used to do that with my babies because I was
no, that's our animals are our babies too. So
he's my baby.
But like Jennifer said, she and her daughter, they're going for a race weekend.
Right.
That's a great celebration too. So and we help you. We can help you kind of have some special things happening with that too. Buttons are something that are really common. I'll try to hold it so you can see. My ring light is so.
You got a first visit button. I've got a happy birthday.
So much better. So first visit, this goes back. This is a pretty good joke. If I make a mistake ever on a trip, I'm like, oh, first visit.
I'm celebrating.
I'm celebrating
anything.
So we've seen everything. That could be graduation. That could be I passed my law school exam. It could be I'm celebrating literally anything. I love standing in line and seeing the buttons and seeing what people have. And everyone kind of, congratulations, that's so exciting. Or I got a new job, or it can be whatever you define as a.
And I think, if you are a Disney regular, then you know that you automatically are looking for buttons to say happy birthday. And my daughter one time, she's like, I'm taking my birthday button off because I've had like 2,000 people wish me a happy birthday. But the truth is, and of course your mileage may vary, but my recommendation to folks is always, 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 always wear those buttons. The first visit buttons, I'll never forget. On our first trip, I had studied all the maps. I knew where I was going until I got to Hollywood Studios and I was looking for Toy Story Mania and I was totally lost. And I was sure I was going the right direction. And the cast member was so kind. He's like, do you know where we're going? And I'm like, yep. And he's like, I don't think you are, but here's where you want to go.
That's great.
I was so embarrassed. And I got exactly where I was going. And then one time, I was there with my husband and we were celebrating our anniversary. And I mean, it was really close to our anniversary and we had babies and we never celebrated. We wore the buttons because they were fun.
Yeah.
And I think we got more bread pudding for free on that trip than like now. I've never had bread pudding in my life before that trip. And now it's one of my favorite desserts.
Well, and I wanted to say, that's one thing we want to just say as a caveat, just because you have a button on or you're celebrating something, it is not guaranteed you will get anything fresh. We just want to say that. But to become much more common, so you can get those at your resorts, you check in, you can get them at guest relations in any of the parks as well. So they all have them, and typically they'll add your name to it or whatever. But it is really just to create, again, that whole aura of celebration throughout the parks. But you cannot go to a dining reservation and be like, I know they're going to bring me a cake. It might happen, but you don't know. You never know. Or you might get, really like to say, especially at Disney, pixie dusted. It may happen, but you cannot expect that. So,
well, and that's the thing. I mean, definitely display them, because if you hide them, no one knows. And so they can't, they won't know.
Right.
And I mean, there's a comment in the chat. Paul Chamberlain said, get celebration buttons. Our kids have gotten some great things out of them. Free cupcakes, special greetings. Our daughter prominently displayed her button at Ollivanders when the wand chose her. And so, I mean, Disney and Universal, Disneyland Paris, when we go on Disney Cruise Line, we have that listed, and we'll get special celebrations at the dining rooms. I mean, it's not just Disney World. This is all of the different Disney and Universal locations.
Yeah.
And the cast members, the team members, they want to celebrate. They want to make your day. I mean,
they do.
They're just as bad as we are. They love to see the folks around them having a good time. Everyone wants to be celebrated and wants to celebrate others. And
Absolutely.
so they've got an excuse to do that. Give them the excuse, because again, it's not guaranteed, but people are looking for the excuse. I've given pins away and balloons away, like just as a guest, not as a nobody, just walking through the park. And I'm like, oh, look at that, princess, or look at grandma or whomever celebrating something that's really special here. How can I make that celebration more special? And I think that is something about the communities and these environments, is that it very much is the parks and the cast members at Disney World or the team members at Universal, but it's also the guests.
It is.
There are plenty of people around who go and who are regulars and who are saps, like some of us, and go with a plan. I mean, there have been times when we've just had, some cards with some $25 gift cards in them. And we just were like, we're going to surprise some people who just jump out of us, jump out for whatever reason. I give my kids a card and I'm like, if you see somebody who, looks like they need a card, here, give it to them. And it could be anyone. It could be someone on a scooter waiting for whatever. It could be a little kid. It could be, and if it's a little kid, we're going to make sure that, the parents know that, here's a grown-up who's involved in that conversation, but it's not just us. It's plenty of other folks who, want to surprise folks. So it's a lot of fun. So,
well, I think that's fun especially for your kids, but even, I went on my girlfriend's trip in November and we started celebrating friendship or celebrating birthdays. And so that was fun, but I think especially for your child to be, and people are wishing them a happy birthday. I mean, we're a birthday family, but it is pretty cool. It's just that you see the little pep in their step, because they're like, oh, these people, because they almost forget the buttons on and they're like, how do people know? But it's pretty special. It's just, again, that whole festive environment. So we can help you with more organized plans if you're thinking about certain celebrations or having things sent to your room or having a special cake at a meal, things like that. There's the whole gamut we can absolutely help you with. But know that there is no celebration you can't have that we can help you with.
Go for various reasons. I mean, there are oodles of folks who go specifically for bachelor or bachelorette parties. They're going to Epcot, or they're going to special restaurants, or they're having a celebration. So it's not just kids, it's adult celebrations. And again, I can't tell you how many baby reveals I've seen or been a part of, at Disney,
Right.
just pictures of, hey, we have this sign, can you take a picture? And then Disney World at 2 different parks at Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom Park have something called Capture Your Moment sessions. They're 50-minute or $50, 20-minute photo sessions with a photographer. And so really a nominal cost. You get 20 dedicated minutes with a photographer to take, various different photographs, really special for, any special event. We've done a couple of them just for fun with the family. But again, lots of, weddings and remembrances and bachelorette parties and bachelor parties and, gender reveals and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. Or you just want to have a couple great photos with the people you traveled with too. So that's a great reason to do it as well.
Yeah. And we've done it for race weekends. My family did one.
Oh yeah.
Right when they were released. Oh, and we got to be, and Disney reached out and said, hey, we love your photos. Can we use them in a Disney Parks blog? And I'm like, yes,
you can. Didn't even have to ask.
Realize there, but we love those pictures. Like it was, family race weekend. We had a great time. We were using the whole point was to use the experience and to do things a little bit differently. But lots of people go on trips to celebrate, and we absolutely should. So let's make the most of it. Does it need to be a private VIP tour? Maybe you get a cabana, maybe you get a special cake. We once went for my daughter's birthday, and it's always worth asking at a restaurant. We had the best server at Cinderella's royal table, and we just said, we didn't really plan in advance, but it's my daughter's birthday today. Do you have anything? And in most cases, you plan in advance and you pay for some of these things, but you never know. And they brought her out, and she, peanut and tree nut allergic, but they brought her out a special dessert that they had that was, peanut tree nut friendly and had her name on it and said happy birthday. And she was just overjoyed. And the truth is, we didn't plan for it or expect it. But even if you're there and you're like, oh my gosh, we've got the celebration. I didn't think about it in advance, 60 days ago when I made the reservation, but here we are, or I didn't plan in advance to ask about it. It's always worth asking for that type of thing. So, and, I was on a cruise with my husband not too long ago, and it was right around our anniversary. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's our anniversary. Like, we're busy with life. We don't celebrate our anniversary very often because, life. And we mentioned it. It was just so nice to get special desserts. And of course, all your food is paid for on a cruise, but to have someone bring something out that says happy anniversary, let's celebrate with you.
Right.
It's really special.
It is. So yeah, we could have talked about this a lot more too. And so if you have questions about it, or we'll try to, usually throughout the next week, we try to pop some things in, but yeah, absolutely. Lots of ways from the little to the big, or maybe again, you're someone who wearing a button is like your last, like, no, thank you. But
a fun souvenir and they're free.
Yes, you can just have them to keep. That's why they remind us of trips, but you can also plan, maybe you just want to have something special happen at dinner. We can help you plan that. It's not as big of a deal. So again, runs the whole gamut of that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But and if you have celebrated special things, if you want to share pictures or stories, please come on over to, either please feel free to comment in our YouTube channel, but also Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears, our Facebook group is a great place to have those conversations because we get to interact a little bit more there. And so I'd love to see what celebrations folks have had. I know we've had plenty, but it always makes me happy and gives me ideas on, how can I celebrate with my family, or how can I, celebrate other folks? Was there something special that you got from a guest, during a trip? It's part of the fun for us is to think about, it's a holiday or it's a non-holiday or it's your unbirthday. You can celebrate your unbirthday.
Sure.
You can get a button saying, I'm celebrating my unbirthday. I'm celebrating a new job. I'm celebrating retirement. They're part of taking a vacation is a celebration.
Right. So, absolutely.
Absolutely. So definitely do that. Think about it. But the buttons at Disney, at Universal, they're free. You can get them from your resort. In most cases, you can get them from just about any shop in the parks or in Disney, in the Disney stores in Disney Springs or guest services or things like that. So it's worth stopping by and saying, do you have a celebration button? And then some of them will have Sharpies and they'll write on them for you, or you can have a Sharpie write on it, for yourself, or just throw it in your bag and remember that you were there celebrating something, but it's totally worth it. And again, it's free. So it's a lot of fun.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, good. I think we chatted about a lot. Yeah.
The hour always goes so fast. I'm not ready. Tuesdays
I know.
This is my favorite part of the day.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so thank you so much for joining us. This has been so much fun. As always, we'll be back next week, Tuesday night. If there are specific topics that you are looking for us to chat about, please feel free to comment on the YouTube channel, on our Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears Facebook page, our Facebook group. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button. It really helps us out a lot. And then if you've got friends or family who are looking to plan a Disney or Universal vacation, and I mean Disney, not just Disney World, Disneyland Paris, Disney Cruise Line, Disney Alani, or I should say Alani, a resort and spa in Hawaii, different Disney destinations, let us know. We're happy to help. And gosh, yeah, thanks so much for being part of the conversation. Anything else that I've forgotten?
No, I think you got to it all. Yeah, it was good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. Thanks for making our day.
Yeah.
And